Ever feel like you're on that treadmill, right? Running as hard as you can, but going nowhere.
Stuck in the same place.
Exactly. Today, we're diving into what makes some companies different. The ones that don't just survive chaos, they use it to power ahead.
10 times ahead of everyone else.
Those are the 10X companies. And they're our focus in this deep dive into great by choice.
This book really gets you thinking. You know, it's not about some secret formula or a lucky break.
Right. It's not about being in the right place at the right time.
It's about the habits, the mindsets of these 10X companies.
And it all starts with being ready for anything at all.
I love that. Because it really is about preparation. It reminds me of that saying, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
And the book uses this incredible story, really drives it home. It's the race to the South Pole back in 1911.
Oh yeah, with Roald Amundsen and Robert Falcon Scott.
Two explorers, both incredibly driven, both facing unbelievably brutal conditions.
With totally different outcomes.
Worlds apart.
Amundsen and his team, they reached the South Pole first.
Which is incredible on its own.
Right. But crucially, they returned safely.
Yeah.
Scott's team. Tragically, they perished on the way back.
It's heartbreaking. And Great by Choice argues that it all came down to one thing: preparation.
Amundsen, he was meticulous. I mean, we're talking years spent studying Eskimo survival techniques.
Wow.
Rigorously testing every single piece of equipment.
Talk about attention to detail.
Oh, absolutely. He even experimented with different types of food, had to make sure they had the best fuel for that expedition.
Can you imagine testing out dolphin meat?
Whatever it took. And it went beyond just the gear and supplies. Like, he mapped out supply depots, marked them with these highly visible black flags.
Smart. With all that white, you need that contrast.
It was all about mitigating a risk at every single turn.
And Scott's team, they kind of took a different approach, didn't they?
Yeah, they relied on some untested technology, like those motor sledges, remember?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Totally failed in those harsh Antarctic conditions.
Yeah. What a lesson, though. It highlights how dangerous it is to underestimate careful planning and being prepared.
You can't control everything.
You can control how prepared you are.
Absolutely. And the book draws this direct parallel between Amundsen's approach and that 10X company mindset. They get it. You can't predict the future, but you can prepare for it.
So it's baked into everything they do.
It's in their DNA.
So how do we take this Amundsen-style preparation and turn it into a winning business strategy?
Well, Great by Choice lays it all out.
Give it to me.
The 10X playbook. And it's built on 3 core behaviors. We're talking fanatic discipline, empirical creativity, and my personal favorite, productive paranoia.
Okay, I am intrigued. Let's break it down. First up, fanatic discipline. What does that look like in the real world, in the business world?
It's important to remember it's not about blindly following orders.
Right, it's not about just working yourself to the bone.
It's about setting those really ambitious goals and having the discipline to hit them consistently, no matter what gets thrown your way.
Rain or shine. Like Amundsen's 20-mile march. Every single day. He knew to get to the South Pole and back, his team had to cover that distance. Good weather, bad weather didn't matter.
Consistency.
Even when they could have pushed further, they stuck to the plan, conserving energy for those tougher stretches.
Exactly. It's about playing that long game. And that's what trips a lot of companies up, you know?
Yeah.
They overexert themselves when times are good, then bam, challenge hits, and they're depleted.
They've got nothing left.
But 10X companies, they've got that steady pace. They know it's about sustainability. It's about having the resources, the resilience to weather those inevitable storms.
Okay, so fanatic discipline, it's about having that internal compass guiding you towards the goal no matter what, right?
You got it.
But what about innovation? We always hear about how important innovation is for companies, especially in today's world.
Right.
Doesn't innovation usually involve taking risks, embracing a bit of chaos? How does that fit into this whole 10X playbook?
That's where our second behavior comes, in empirical creativity. Now, this one might seem a little counterintuitive, but 10X companies, they're actually incredibly disciplined about how they approach innovation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not about chasing every shiny new object out there.
Yeah.
It's about being smart about it.
So grounding that creativity with data and evidence.
100%. The authors use this analogy. I love it. They call it the bullets then cannonballs approach.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Walk me through it.
All right, so imagine you're trying to hit a target in the distance. You wouldn't just waste your most powerful weapon, right, your cannonball, without getting a sense of the lay of the land first. would you?
Got to get a feel for the wind speed, the distance,
This-
all the factors.
Exactly. You need to adjust. You would fire off a few bullets first.
Yeah.
Smaller, lower risk experiments just to gather some intel.
See what's working, what's not.
See what sticks, what's
Yeah.
missing the mark. And once you've zeroed in on a promising target, then and only then, you unleash the cannonball, that full-blown strategic investment.
I like it. So how does this actually play out in the business world? Can you give me an example of a company that's using this bullets then cannonballs approach really well?
Think about Apple and the iPod. It wasn't an overnight success story. Not at all.
Right.
They launched it as a bullet first, compatible only with Macs.
Smaller.
A smaller market.
Yeah.
It was a way to test the waters of that whole digital music scene without risking it all.
Calculated risk, gather that data, see how people respond.
Exactly. And once they saw the potential, bam, cannonball launched the iPod and iTunes for Windows, opened up to a much wider audience,
And the rest is history.
and became a leader in digital music.
Exactly. So it's about finding that balance, right, between being innovative, pushing boundaries, but also being really strategic about it, not letting that excitement for the next big thing overshadow careful planning and execution.
Absolutely. Which brings us to that third behavior of 10X companies, and that is productive paranoia.
Okay, that sounds intense.
Right.
I like it already. Tell me more.
So they're constantly looking around corners, anticipating those potential threats.
Even when things are going well.
Even when things are amazing, they're still thinking, what if?
It's like having that healthy dose of skepticism. But how do you create that kind of mindset in a company without creating this culture of fear or distrust?
That's the key, right? It's not about being afraid all the time or micromanaging every single decision. It's about putting systems and habits in place that just encourage that vigilance naturally. One way they do this is by keeping more cash on hand than their competitors.
Larger cash reserves.
Exactly. So they're financially prepared for a downturn, even when things are good.
So it's like having a safety net, a buffer to help them weather any storm.
Exactly. They're always playing the long game, prioritizing stability and resilience, even if it means maybe missing out on some short-term gains.
Makes sense. So they can act decisively when others are panicking.
Precisely.
We've talked about discipline, we've talked about strategic innovation, and now this idea of productive paranoia. But there's often this assumption, right, that the most innovative companies, the ones with the most groundbreaking ideas, that they're the ones that always come out on top. Is that really true, though?
It's definitely a common misconception.
Yeah.
But great by choice actually pushes back on that idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they argue that there's a point where too much innovation can actually backfire.
Too much of a good thing.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about finding that sweet spot.
How could too much innovation be a bad thing?
Well, think of it like this. Every industry kind of has this like innovation threshold, right?
Okay.
It's like the minimum level you need to stay in the game to be competitive.
Makes sense.
But if you go way past that threshold, it can actually backfire.
Really?
Yeah, it can create what the book calls imbalance.
Imbalance.
Yeah, it's like imagine a company, they're pouring all their resources, all their energy into developing like the latest and greatest tech. Okay. But they're neglecting other stuff,
Yeah.
like basic operational efficiency or even customer service.
the less glamorous stuff.
Right, exactly.
Mm.
They might have an amazing product, but can they actually get it into people's hands in a way that makes sense?
Good point. Good point.
They've gone overboard in one area while totally neglecting these other things that are crucial for success.
Yeah, it's about balance, isn't it?
Exactly. Great by choice. They use this great example, Intel versus AMD.
Okay.
AMD. They were actually initially way more innovative with their processor tech,
Interesting.
but they had all these operational issues.
Hey.
Intel, on the other hand, they were really good at both innovation and execution. And that's ultimately what gave them the edge.
So it's not enough to just have these groundbreaking ideas. You also need the discipline and the systems in place to actually bring those ideas to life.
100%. It's about finding that sweet spot, right, between pushing boundaries and making sure that the core of your business is rock solid.
This has been incredibly insightful, I have to say. But there's one more piece of this puzzle that I kind of want to touch on, and that's the role of luck. Because sometimes it feels like some companies, they just get these lucky breaks, like they're in the right place, the right time, and it just all kind of falls into place.
Yeah, I get that.
But great by choice. It argues that 10X companies, they don't get lucky. They make their own luck.
Love that.
So how do you do that? How do you go about creating your own luck?
It's about maximizing opportunities through hard work, through ambition, through this refusal to just accept the status quo. 10x companies, they understand that luck favors the prepared mind, the one that's always looking for those possibilities and ready to pounce.
So you're putting yourself out there, you're taking those calculated risks, you're open to new opportunities, even if they come from unexpected places.
Exactly. And the book uses Bill Gates as an example.
Okay.
Bill Gates of Microsoft.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, he had some advantages early on, but a lot of people did back then when personal computing was just starting to take off.
Right, tons of people.
So what set him apart?
Yeah, what was it?
It was his work ethic. It was his drive to turn this vision into a reality. And he was relentless. He was constantly searching for opportunities and then seizing them.
It wasn't just being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
It was knowing what to do with it.
Exactly.
So it's that preparation meeting opportunity with a whole lot of hard work sprinkled in.
I love that. And that's a message that really resonates with me no matter what your goals are.
Exactly. Whether you're leading a team, building a company, or even just trying to achieve your own personal goals, these principles, they apply across the board.
100%. It's about understanding that while we can't control everything, we can control our own efforts, our preparation, and our mindset.
As we wrap up this deep dive into Great by Choice, I think what's really striking to me is how this book, it's not just about business strategy. It's really a framework for navigating uncertainty and achieving success in any field.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's about identifying your own personal 20-mile march.
I love it.
What are those small but consistent actions you can take every single day to move you closer to your goals, even when you don't feel like it, even when you'd rather just stay in bed?
It's about showing up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's about testing those ideas, like bullets.
Gathering the evidence before you go all in.
Exactly. Before you bring out the cannonballs.
And it's about cultivating that sense of productive paranoia, not letting fear control you, but using it as information to anticipate those challenges and be ready for whatever comes your way.
It's such a powerful set of principles. And the exciting thing is they're within anyone's reach.
Absolutely. So here's a final thought-provoking question for you to ponder as we wrap things up.
Okay, I'm ready.
If you were building a 10x company, what's the one bullet you'd fire today based on the evidence you have? What's that small, calculated risk you can take that might just lead to your own cannonball moment?
Ooh, I like that. I'm going to be thinking about that one.
Yeah.
That's it for me. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep striving for that 10x impact.